Retail CEOs feeling the pressure this holiday season from the low end all the way to the high end. Earlier this morning, Macy's CEO Terry Lundgren joined Squawk Box talking about sales so far this year. Take a listen.
We've announced that we're actually going to be closing more stores this next year because as the internet has become so strong for us, consumers are looking at their options, determining where they're going to shop, and they don't have to have that immediate convenience of going to the store next door. They'll drive a little bit further, and they'll also know that we'll deliver it to them in a very short period of time. So I think when you put all those options together, we're able to say that we don't need 800 locations across the country. We can have fewer than that. So that's kind of how we've rationalized it.
Bill George is a professor at Harvard Business School, former Medtronic chairman and CEO, and a CNBC contributor. Bill, it's good to have you back.
Thanks, Carl.
You've got a list of 3 retail CEOs under pressure, and Terry's one of them.
You bet.
Why?
He's done a great job for 10 years, but I'll tell you, this is a 20-year secular decline in department stores. I was on the board of what was Dayton Hudson, now Target. A dozen years ago, we made the decision to spin off Dayton Hudson department stores, Marshall Field's, to Macy's, and they picked up May Company. But I can tell you, they're losing the millennials and the Gen Xers, and they're losing out in the online, and they just don't have the presence anymore in the lower end.
Is there no solution? It's just sort of just the lifetime of this particular brand of retail?
I think it's tough, and you even see on the top end, I think Nordstrom is holding its own because they have a very clear brand position, and where people like Neiman Marcus and Saks are pulling back from a global or a national expansion, they're getting squeezed. So I think Macy's got a tough time. You heard him say he's going to close stores. I think that'll probably continue. Too much space, too many malls. People don't want to go to the malls.
And certainly the stock is down 40% this year. I guess the part to figure out with this, and especially for a team like Macy's, which is known to have best-in-class management with Terry, with Karen Hoge, the CFO. They've been there for a while, and they are considered by investors top-notch. How much is it an execution problem with management where they can't figure out how to get out of the slump, and how much is it just this secular change in the way we shop and that all department stores are feeling the pain?
It's clearly secular, but that's a strategic problem. I think Terry's done a great job for 10, 12 years, but he's got to figure out a whole new strategy. That's the problem. Every decade or every 5 years, you have to adapt your strategy, particularly in retail, probably a lot faster than that. You see the way Howard Schultz has done that.
But is anyone in the department store industry doing it?
I think Nordstrom's is holding its own at the high end, but you got to pick your niche, and I think that's what people like Target have done below them. You got to find where you're going to fit. Speaking
of adapting, the other 2 on your list are McMillan at Walmart and Lampert.
Yeah.
What's McMillan got to do?
Doug McMillan is an outstanding CEO. He's an excellent merchant, but he's squeezed too because they've got the blue-collar market, much like McDonald's, Carl, and they're losing out on the low end to Dollar General. They're losing out to Costco on Sam's Club, and they're clearly losing to Amazon and online. And they haven't got this figured out, this Panagia or whatever it is. It's going to take a long time to get that fully up to speed and get them competitive.
But isn't he doing exactly what you would expect him to do?
Yes, he's doing what he should be doing. But he's already lowered expectations 6 to 12% for next year. That doesn't get anyone very excited in the stock market.
No, but he's got to have the time to do it, I guess. And he does have the patience of his largest shareholders who, for him, I guess, luckily, are the Walton family.
Yeah, and David, I think he deserves it. I think he deserves the time. I think it's a 3 to 5 year turnaround. He's a good guy. I've dinner with him. He's a first-class CEO.
Another name on your list here is Eddie Lampert, of course, from Sears. We followed that. Really the demise of that retailer, Sears, Kmart, over the years. Hard to imagine what they really can do given all that he already has done in terms of spinning off various assets.
Well, unlike McMillan and Lundgren, he is not a retailer. He says he's a merchant. He's not. He's a financial engineer and a real estate guy, and he keeps trying to sell off the real estate. But, David, what good is the real estate if it's underneath a mall store, which is declining, or it's one of those mega inner city stores they can't figure out what to do with? That real estate, in my opinion, not very valuable. And so I think Sears is, they passed the point of no return a decade ago, and I don't see them ever coming back. I think it was going to cut. No one I know shops there. In fact, students in my classroom at Harvard laugh. If any of you shop at Sears, they laugh at me. They'll go to Home Depot, they'll go to Target for mother and babies, and they get their home appliance, home equipment at Home Depot. They're not going.
Those Harvard kids. You know, we are talking a lot about department stores and big box retailers, but some of the worst performers in retail so far this year are Ralph Lauren, Gap, Michael Kors at the very bottom of the list. Does this speak to management issues or, again, just broader consumer changes and not much ingenuity when it comes to changing it?
It's a little bit like the social media feed, IT field. You got to keep changing, and they aren't keeping up with the changing consumer. This millennial change, Sarah, is having a dramatic impact, and people haven't figured it out yet. I think Brian Cornell at Target is doing the best job of the online retail, doing the online, even though people are disappointed. He's on top of it, and he's getting there. But I can tell you, a lot of these clothing retailers haven't figured out the trend changes, and they got to get trend forward. If you're not trend forward today, you're behind, and you can't hang with the old crowd. You got to go with the millennials and the Gen Xers. That's where the action is.
Yep.
As Nike hits a record high right now.
And
yes.
Home Depot.
How about Under Armour? Everyone wants Under Armour. That's why it's hot. Hot item. There'll be more. There'll be new brands coming. So I think it's a secular change in branding, if you want to know the truth.
Bill, it's good to have your insight.
Good. Thank you for having me here.
Again in person.
Thanks so much.
Bill George.
Good to see you.